Very good morning to all of you, dear student. You're once again you're most welcome in DSS online English class. Myself Dharmin sir, and I'm going to explain the complete meaning of Stranger the Northland. It is your poem. Student, it is a very important and very remarkable poem, and it has been written in a ballad form. So student, before explain the poem, it is necessary that you should be aware that what is the form of writing ballad and what is the meaning of ballad. Ballad is a form of writing poem in which a story is narrated in a poem form. That means a story which is passes one generation to another, and this story, if the written in a poetic form, that the style of writing is known as ballad. So student, this is the intro of a ballad. But what is the complete meaning and kinds of ballad? You definitely ask this question to me. So student, I want to express a brief introduction and a brief knowledge about the ballad. So let's discuss the ballad in written form, and I will provide also you a note to write down in your copy before writing the poems. So student, a ballad is a song or a collection of songs sung by a wandering singers. That means it is a collection of song or a song which is sung by a wandering singer और जिप्सीज. दैट मीन्स जो इधर उधर खाना बदोशी जिसको कहते हैं, खाना बदोशी घूम घूम कर जो गाते थे, दिस इज नोन एज द बैलेड फ्रॉम विलेज टू विलेज, एंड दीज यूज टू सिंग विलेज टू विलेज, एंड बाय सिंगिंग दीज थिंग्स दे बैक टू आल्म and entertain to the other villagers to the accompaniment of a harp. And this song is sung by the help of a harp. Harp, it is a musical instrument. This is look like a bean. It means एक बीन जैसा म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट होता है जिसके हेल्प से बैलेड गाया जाता था. It is generally glorified to the brave deeds of a historical or legendary heroes and knights. That means the ballad is especially personified or especially devoted to the brave deeds of a knight, of the heroes or legendary persons, and it passes one generation to others. That means जो बैलेड होता है, इस बैलेड में स्पेशली हम हीरोज़ के विषय में, उनके ब्रेव डीड्स के विषय में, उनके एडवेंचर्स के विषय में गाते हैं, बताते हैं. Their subjects include thrilling adventures deeds, love affairs, wars, and especially the ballads belongs to the adventurous deeds, love affairs, wars, etc. The ballad are written in 4 lines, and the student, the main thing is that the ballad is written into 4 lines in each stanza. That means each stanza contains 4 lines, but there is not a limitation of a parameter or the length of a poem, but the poem which is written in a ballad form, that has contains only 4 lines in each stanza, and the 4 lines of stanza is known as quatrains. Quatrains, that means the 4 line of a stanza. And now I am going to discuss the kinds of ballad. The student, it is important that what kinds of ballads are there in writing poems. Poems writing में कितने kinds के ballad होते हैं. The first is folk or traditional ballad. It is a kind of a ballad which was developed by anonymous poets in the ancient times and handed down to our generation by words or mouth. That means folk ballads are generally developed in the ancient time, and it is sung by a group. It is not a solo song. It is a group song. That means the folk or the traditional ballad are sung by the folks, by the group of members, and it handed to one generation to another. And it is a mouth song. It is a word of a mouth. That means it is not found in a written form. It is a mouth song. That means student, ये written form में नहीं होता था. इसको सब लोग practice करके by words ही गाते थे और गा के one generation to another generation ये pass की जाती थी. It has no written form. The traditional ballad had no single author. Rather, it was a product of a many parts. That means the folk or the traditional ballad is not a just only a single, but it is sung by a group. So I think you got the complete meaning. The folk, and here literary ballad. The literary ballad is actually an imitation of a traditional ballad. That means it is just like a traditional ballad. There is no difference, but the single difference is that the traditional ballad is sung by a group, while the literary ballad is sung by a single or a solo. Traditional ballad is not in written form, but the literary ballad is in written form. The only difference between the two ballads is the authorship and written by the known personality. Student, the traditional ballad is known by a glorified or the written or the known personality. That means traditional ballad में कोई known personality नहीं होती है, while the literary ballad is sung by a known personality. The difference between the two, that means traditional ballad and literary ballad, there are the difference that traditional ballad is not sung by a known personality, while the literary ballad is sung by the known personality. He may be former. The traditional ballad may be a farmer, may be a villagers, etc. La Beldam Sans Mercy, Stranger from Northland. These are the good example of traditional ballad. So student, I think you got the sense of literary and folk and traditional ballad. I have also mentioned the differences and the things, what is the clear meaning of these two. Now the third, broadside ballad. The student, the third is broadside ballad. It is a descriptive or narrative song. That means it is a descriptive and narrative that can be narrated by some other personality. And how can we narrate by other personality? Because it is written form, it is in written form, and it is written on an expensive paper so that they can distribute it or advertised into the street so that many people could read that. Theme and sung or recited in a public places, printed on an expensive paper sheet for sale in the street. That means this is a ballad which is introduced in written form, and it is written in with ink in ink, and it is written in ink and on an expensive paper so that it could be preserved. It could be preserved and handed to other in the street so that many people could read this and understand the meanings and can preserve in his own self. The lady who fell in love with her serving man. This is the finest example of the broadside ballad. Here student, one thing which is left in the first is that the folk tradition, the nut here, the nut red and Chevy's chase. This is the finest example of folk tradition. Because student, I haven't provided you example of folk or traditional. So here is the example, and many more example is present in your English literature, like Frog and Nightingale, which is given in 10th, the previous book, which which is not in your this book. And in this book, what you are studying, there are many ballads may be given, and when the ballad will come, we will definitely describe. So student, if there is any doubt, then you can ask me, and if the theme or the concept has been cleared, then definitely write it on your notebook. So student, I hope so that you got the complete sense what is the means of these things and what is the means of ballad. So if you have any doubt, then you can ask me. Thank you.